श्रुति स्मृति पुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शंकरं लोकशंकरं शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवत् व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पार्थाय प्रतिबोधितां भगवता नारायणेन स्वयं व्यासेन ग्रथितां पुराणमुनिना मध्ये महाभारतम् अद्वैतामृतवर्षिणीं भगवतीम् अष्टादशाध्यायिनीम् अम्ब त्वामनुसन्दधामि भगवद्गीते भवद्वेषिणी। यं ब्रह्मा वरुणेन्द्ररुद्रमरुतः स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनः यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः। डॉक्टर मंजुला शिवशंकर। सिक्स्थ चैप्टर। श्री भगवानुवाच
श्रीभगवानुवाच
अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम्
अनाश्रितः कर्मफलम्
कार्यं कर्म करोति यः
कार्यं कर्म करोति यः
स सन्न्यासी च योगी च
स सन्न्यासी च योगी च
न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः
न निरग्निर्न चाक्रियः
यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः
यं सन्न्यासमिति प्राहुः
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पः
न ह्यसन्न्यस्तसङ्कल्पः
योगी भवति कश्चन
योगी भवति कश्चन
आरुरुक्षोर्मुनेर्योगम्
आरुरुक्षोर्मुनेर्योगम्
कर्म कारणमुच्यते
कर्म कारणमुच्यते
योगारूढस्य तस्यैव
न कर्मस्वनुषज्यते
सर्वसङ्कल्पसन्न्यासी
सर्वसङ्कल्पसन्न्यासी
योगारूढस्तदोच्यते.
योगारूढस्तदोच्यते.
So this chapter 6 that we have started, the main topic is dhyana. So last class we introduced, gave some background to this chapter. We saw what dhyanam was. Vijatiya vritti rahitaha sajatiya vritti pravahaha and saguna brahma vishaya manasa vyapara. We saw that elaborately. So we have an idea of what dhyanam is. Now, what for this dhyanam is not, that also we saw. We saw that dhyanam cannot be a means for moksha, which can be a bit shocking for us. And but if we have studied our shastra properly, we know that only a pramanam can give knowledge. And we saw the means of knowledge, we all know. And one of the means of knowledge is not, moksha is not listed as a mean. I mean, dhyanam is not listed as a means of knowledge. And therefore, dhyanam cannot be moksha sadhana. It can help in gaining antakarana shuddhi and chitta naichalyam, steadiness of mind, but it can't give moksha. Okay, then it can't be a jnana sadhanam, again same reason, can't give you knowledge. Meditation can only help with antakarana shuddhi, but knowledge takes place. And when the pramanam is operated, and the pramanam is the shastram, shastra pramanam, shabda pramanam, we saw all these things before. Okay, and one of the purposes of dhyanam also is not to get some very extraordinary experiences, ecstatic experiences, because no experience is going to remove my ignorance. No experience can remove my ignorance, and I can say I had a great experience, but then experience is anityam, it is time bound. What it has to experience has to begin at some time and it has to end at some time. Therefore, we can say I had 5 minutes of experience, unexplainable experience, ethereal experience, heavenly experience. All that is possible. It's all possible. When properly trained, all these things are possible. So it's our duty to say those experiences have nothing to do with moksha. So magical powers, all these things, we are not going to go after that. So what meditation is not for, we have understood. And so now what was the purpose of meditation? That also we saw briefly last time. So when we learn to do puja, when we do puja every day, when we do Sandhya Vandanam every day, when we do our daily rituals, disciplines, when we follow those disciplines, then we gain greater and greater focus on Bhagavan, on Ishvara, on our Ishta Devata. Okay. And that focus is also called Dhyanam. And that type of Dhyanam is called Upasanam. Upasana means following my disciplines properly. And even meditation, the meditation that we are actually learning in this class is also in the category of Upasanam. So far, everything we have done is called Upasana. Namely, trying to get our mind focused on our Ishta Devata. External puja, dhyanam, internal. And then we also saw that So that is one of the purposes of dhyanam, that upasana rupa dhyanam, which is to get ourselves ready for shravanam. So generally that may or may not happen. We may not have had the experience. We may not really be doing puja. We may not be really following any discipline. And suddenly we ended up in a class like this and we started liking the class. That is also possible. So therefore we have to practice upasana during this class. And therefore we do dhyana and we practice it as often as possible. So after upasana rupa dhyanam, dhyanam is a general word for these things. And so upasana rupa dhyanam, then we have shravanam and manana, which is what is happening in all these classes. And after class also, you may be thinking about things. And in satsang, you clarify doubts. That is mananam. And shravanam and mananam happens in class also. Even before you ask a question, I may ask the question. And then it may say, yeah, correct. I also had that question. It might strike you like that. And so that means mananam is also going on in this class. Shravanam, mananam. Then jnanam is gained. And then jnanam is gained, but it has to be properly digested. It has to be assimilated. The vision is there, but it's still, I have a hangover. I have a hangover of my past. And for ages, I've been telling myself I'm insecure. I have to make myself secure. Kuch na kuch karna hai. I have to make it in this life. And I have to succeed. And I can't fail. And somehow or the other, I have to protect my family. And this and that. This is how my mindset is. Mindset is, I'm just driven to survive. I'm driven to survive. I'm driven to live as long as possible. I'm driven to live without any disease. Okay. And this is my mindset. For ages it's been going on. We don't know how long it's been going on. So like the dog's tail, no? It's like that. And how are we going to straighten the dog's tail? They say it's not possible. And so that being the case, we have something called nididhyasanam. So Shravanam, Mananam, nididhyasanam we've already mentioned. And that nididhyasanam is a type of dhyanam where we focus on the teachings, where we focused on the understood teachings. Previously, dhyanam was before teaching, before studying. Now the teachings are understood and then we contemplate on that. And that is called nididhyasanam. So our Srinivasanji conducts nididhyasanam sessions. And so like this, we have Rukminiji and others know what nididhyasanam means. So we will also start that periodically. I'll introduce that nididhyasanam. Okay, so we saw this. We saw the two types of dhyanams, meditations. Swami Paramarthanandaji quotes an example of Swami Chinmayananda. A person thinks somehow it has got stuck. I am a worm. I'm a worm, kida. I'm a small worm. And something got into that person's head. And this, I'm a worm. So these are all wormly things he does and he wants to do. He's afraid of everything else. And so finally they decide to take the person to a doctor. See, in India, if you go to many families, they'll talk about all kinds of problems, but they never go to see the doctor. That's another interesting thing. We have to tell them, hey, you should see a doctor. There are doctors for these kinds of things. You have to go see the doctor. Oh, that's a good idea, you know. So we try to live with our problems. That is very, very strange. And somehow it will go away, all these ideas we have. So they decide to go see the doctor. And psychologist interviews the person. The person says, a lot of discussion happened, why, what, etc. And then finally the doctor says, okay, I'm going to ask you to stand in front of a mirror. And so he stand in front of a mirror. He stood. And then who is standing? Who is this person? That is me. Is that thing in the mirror, is that a worm? No, it's not a worm. What is there in my hand? It's a worm. What is there in front of the mirror? It's not a worm. It's a human being. It's a male. It's a person. Who is that person? Oh, that's me. Okay, that is not a worm. That is a person. This is a worm. This is not a person. So tell me, who are you? I'm a person. Oh, yeah, I'm a person. I'm a person. I'm a human being. I'm a man. Yes. So like this, a lot of discussion happens. And then all the session gets over and he goes outside. And then he comes running back. What happened? There is a bird there. There is a bird there. Means these worms are mortally afraid of birds, And so there's a bird there. He came running back. And so what happened? What happened to all the weeks of counseling? Doesn't work. Didn't work. Apparently didn't work. And so that is how here also we have to be conditioned to think of ourselves as mortals, think of ourselves as small, limited, and Shastram is saying something big, Aham Purnaha and all the Asangaha, all these big words it is using. Where is this Asanga and where is this body, right? So that is the transformation that has to happen. And that is where this Nididhyasanam comes. And so one misconception that is there in many books and many people's minds is that I got it. So Vedanta, I understood what Vedanta says, and it is all intellectual knowledge. It is theoretical knowledge. Now what I should do? Like I read the recipe of Rasagulla in the book, or my friend told me what the recipe is. I now know how to make Rasagulla. What is the use? I have to go to the kitchen and make it. And unless I make it and taste it, there is no use of knowing the big recipe of Rasagulla. And you can't even post it on Facebook because Facebook Rasagulla recipe posting, nobody is interested in. Did you make it? Show me some pictures of the Rasagulla you made. Look, then everybody will say like. And so otherwise posting a recipe is okay. I can Google and find out. So therefore, we have to put it in practice. All this knowledge has to be put in practice. And so they say, Nididhyasanam. Now I know what Brahman is. Now what should I do? I must experience Brahma. Correct? I must now experience Brahma. Brahma is understood. The whole world is Brahma. I am also Brahma. Now I want to experience Brahma. When I say I want to experience Brahma, that means I am away from Brahma. You experience what you are away from. You experience sadness. Sadness is not there. You experience happiness. Now happiness is not there, but I want to meditate and experience happiness. That means you are inviting happiness to your mind. What is not there, you want to get. Brahma is not there. I want to experience Brahma. But Brahma is not there. That statement itself is wrong. Only if Brahma is not there, you can say, I'm going to look for Brahma and experience Brahma. You can say that. So every experience I have, whether it is a pleasant experience or unpleasant experience, Brahma is there. The experiencer is Brahma. The object of experience is Brahma. The process of experience is also Brahma. Everything is Brahma. When I say, in order to experience something, I must exist. That existence is consciousness. That consciousness is Brahma, self-existent. And so without that existence, no experience is possible. And so that existence is what we are talking about as Brahma, which is Purnam, etc. And therefore, the question of experiencing Brahma, very popular out there. Intellectual knowledge followed by Nididhyasanam, which is experience of Brahma. Only then you got moksha. Like that, there is some narrative out there. And we have to, based on our study, we can easily reject that and say, no, Brahman cannot be experienced. In fact, Brahman is there in every experience. Every experience, Brahman is there. Even in deep sleep, Brahman is there. So this we have to remind ourselves of. Okay. So last class, there was a satsang questions were there. A few of you here have studied Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And there also Dhyanam is mentioned. One of the Ashtanga, one of the Angas of Patanjali's yoga is Dhyana. So they have Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Pratyahara, and then Dharana, and then Dhyanam, Samadhi. Like this, you have Ashtanga, Ashtangani. So there are something called Shad Darshanas, 6 systems of philosophy, they say. And of which, so Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Purva Mimamsa means Karma Kanda, Uttara Mimamsa means Vedanta. Then you got Sankhya and Yoga. Then you have Nyaya and Vaisheshika. These are the 6. You don't have to just listen. And these are all often talked about as Shad Darshanani. Okay. We are studying Vedanta. So this Sankhya and Yoga are there, and both are very similar. So the second chapter, we called it as Sankhya Yoga. Okay. That Sankhya is Jnana Yoga. So we don't combine that with this Sankhya Yoga. So here Surendraji asked the question long ago in a satsang, I remember. What about Sankhya Yoga? One of the darshana. Like that, I remember the question. I'm not forgotten, Surendraji. I said we will cover it later. So I'm still remember. Later means not forgotten. I don't forget like that. So later when the time is right, we'll talk about it. That's what I say. So it will get a little technical. That's why we don't cover these things in these beginners classes. And so there, they talk about 22 foundational elements. And then an evolute of that, which are evolutes of what is called Prakriti. And then there is something called Purusha. So Prakriti plus Purusha plus all the 22 evolutes, 22 things that have come out of this Prakriti, the 24 items are there. That is the essential model of Sankhya. And this Purusha is so attached to Prakriti, and Purusha has to isolate itself from Prakriti. Prakriti, Pradhana, they use many words. And when Purusha isolates itself from Prakriti, then that is called Moksha. Okay. Then what about, is it Dvaita or Advaita? It is Dvaita because Prakriti is Satyam, Purusha is Satyam, all the elements is Satyam, entire world is Satyam. Therefore, it is Dvaita. This is Dvaita only. A particular model of Dvaita. You see how interesting it is. When you say Advaita, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma, you can have some variations, but Sarvam Brahma limits your options. Limits your option. But the minute you say Dvaitam eva Satyam, then you can have various models of Dvaita. Because variety, you can model the variety in any way you want. Okay. So back to this. So Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha has to see that it is separate from Prakriti. It has to remain unaffected by Prakriti. Now it is affected. It has to make an effort to remain unaffected. Isolate itself. That is Purusha. All this is Sankhya. Yoga is very similar to Sankhya. Add Ishvara into the picture. Into this 24 plus 1 Ishvara is yoga. Okay. And so what about Sankhya then? Are they this Nastikas? Well, there is a Nirishvara Sankhya and there is a Ishvara, Sa Ishvara Sankhya also. So some Sankhyas feel like we need Ishvara. Some Sankhya says Ishvara is not needed at all. to explain our life and this creation. So you have both models. But in yoga, Patanjali Maharshi Yoga, Ishvara is very much there and is the 25th element. But Ishvara also is Satyam. I am also Jiva is Satyam. Okay, everything is Satyam. World is also Satyam. Atma is Satyam. What about you? Oh, you are also Atma. You are a different Atma. And that Atma is also Satyam. Therefore, there are many Atmas. Correct? Many Atmas are there. And this is what they talk about. And then, because the emphasis on this Ashtanga is so much, and the last step of the Ashtanga is Samadhi. Emphasis, it is presented as though Samadhi is the goal of Ashtanga Yoga. I hope you're following me. It is presented as though Yama, Niyama, all beautiful disciplines, great disciplines, and we also use those disciplines. Samadhi is the end game. Two types of Samadhi and all that. Savikalpa Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi, a Samadhi with certain thoughts in the mind, a Samadhi which is free of thoughts, a state of mind, Samadhi Sthiti that is free of thoughts. Because everything is Satyam, the world is Satyam, how to remove sorrow? Everything is real. Sorrow is also real. Happiness is also real. Everything is real. The best way to do it is free your mind from thoughts. Sadness is also a thought. Therefore, if I free myself from all these thoughts, then it's relaxing. It's great. Samadhi. So when everything is Satyam, you have no choice but to make an attempt to free your mind. Correct? Free your mind. And so, what we understand, Vedantins understand from this is sorrow is also a thought. Sorrow is a thought. I think by now we should say yes to that statement. And pleasant experience is also a series of thoughts. Unpleasant experience, series of thoughts. And therefore, remember that statement from Swamiji some time ago. We had circulated it in email or something. And I experience sadness, therefore I am not sadness. Correct? Because I experience it. Whatever I experience, I cannot be. Whatever I see, I cannot be. I see so many objects. I am not any of the objects. I even see my body. I even perceive my body. Therefore, I am not the body. So I see sadness. I see agitation. Therefore, my nature cannot be agitation. My nature cannot be depression. My nature cannot be sorrow. Now, what about happiness? I also experience happiness. Therefore, I am not happiness. Okay. We'll have to see that. We'll have to see that. And we say, I am Ananda Swarupaha. That is what Shastra says. So back to yoga. And yoga. So therefore, yoga, the emphasis is on Samadhi, Nirvikalpa Samadhi. And moksha means separation of the Purusha from Prakriti. And that is what is talked about in Patanjali Yoga. Bit technical, okay? So we have to be careful not to get confused by these things. And we don't study Shaddarshanas while in the process of understanding Vedanta. And later on, Shankara also will bring up these debates in his commentaries. Very beautiful it will be. Nyaya, Nayayika, and Baudhaha, that is Shankara's favorite. And Jainaha, so Shunyavadinaha, all those things he will bring. Vaisheshika he will bring sometimes. So when the opportunity is there, we will definitely discuss those things. Okay. So, all right. So let's now go back to this, our shloka number 1. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Anashritah Karma Phalam Karyam Karma Karoti Yaha Sasanyasi Cha Yogi Cha Na Niragnir Na Chakriyaha. These first 2 shlokas of this chapter, Bhagavan Sri Krishna brings in Karma Yoga. He connects Dhyana Yoga to Karma Yoga. He says Karma Yoga is essential for us to do dhyanam. That is what. That is why Krishna brings in these two shlokas. And Karma Yoga, so far it is all attitudes towards our action. And it's all action based. Without action, there is no Karma Yoga. And without attitude, proper attitude, there is no Karma Yoga. Therefore, it is often called as a Bahiranga Sadhana. Bahiranga Sadhana, an external means. Even though attitude is internal, very important, but it's all based on activity, and therefore Bahiranga Sadhana, karma, action, activity, Bahiranga Sadhana. Dhyanam is called an Antaranga Sadhanam, and so Krishna will say that Karma Yoga is so important. Don't ignore it. Don't run towards Dhyanam. Karma Yoga is important, without which we cannot really do Dhyanam. That is why Krishna is bringing in these two shlokas. Okay. So let's look at this shloka. Anashritaha karma phalam karyam karma karoti yaha. Yaha, the one who karma karoti, one who does actions. Yaha karma karoti. And what kind of karma? Karyam karma. Here karyam means to be done. That which is to be done, the one who does things that must be done. However inconvenient it is, however painful it is, whatever is to be done, it should be done. And that is yaha, karyam karma karoti. And then in what way? And with what attitude? Karma phalam anashritaha. Karma phalam anashritaha. Ashraya means depending on. Anashritaha means not depending on the results of action. Not depending. Because result of action is not in our hands. So you can't depend on something that is not in our hands. That is one way to say it. And karma phalam can be anything. It can be to my liking. It need not be to my liking. But when I do something that is to be done, right there, I'm happy. Already I got the result. I'm happy. But yeah, I want something. So I keep working on it. But karma phalam anashritaha. He's using that word. Ashritaha, depending, not depending on karma phalam. Anashritaha, karma phalam. That means that person has no longer allows raga dveshas to drive the person's action. Same thing that we've been saying again and again, Krishna is saying. Raga dveshas don't drive the person. Dharma adharma drives the person. And with the right attitude also, that person is referred to here, anashritaha, karma phalam. And that person, saha, next line, look at that, saha, that person is a sannyasi cha yogi cha. That person is a sannyasi and a yogi. That's what Krishna is saying. So that means look at how important karma yoga is. Krishna is essentially saying, don't be carried away by this kashaya vastram and all that. That is very important, no doubt. And that's an ashrama. But here we are talking about an attitude. Karma phalam anashritaha. That is there in my head. And so that person is a sannyasi. It doesn't matter what dress, even torn jeans he can be wearing, she can be wearing. Jeans, torn jeans, right? That's the fashion. I don't know. It was the fashion some years ago. Today, I don't know what the fashion is. I'm not moving around with all these young boys and girls. But maybe today, I don't know. Maybe it is torn even more, I think. I don't know. Maybe maybe stitched torn jeans is the next fashion. Hey, that's the next thing. I think that must already be there, I think. And if you ask me to give you ideas, I will start giving you ideas. And so some fashion like that. It doesn't matter what dress that person wears. Anashritaha karma phalam yaha karyam karoti, karyam karma karoti, saha sannyasi cha yogi cha. So that person is a yogi, that person is a sannyasi already, maybe not wearing a kashaya vastra, but that nyasaha, samyak nyasaha kritaha tena. That person has already given up. What has he given up? That person has given up the dependence on karma phalam. This body itself is karma phalam. It's a result of my karma only that I got this body, this mind, everything. And so, but body depends on me. I don't depend on the body. This is the message we have to get. Body depends on me. Aham, Atma. Body depends on Atma. I don't depend on Atma. Atma does not depend on body. That we have to recall here. And so, therefore, that importance is given to the karma yogi in this shloka, and he's equating the karma yogi is almost a sannyasi. Sannyasi by knowledge, karma yogi may not know everything that well, but because this attitude anybody can have this attitude, and so the person with that attitude is a yogi and also a sannyasi. And then Krishna is using two more words. Look at that. Na niragnihi. So we have to first split it. Na niragnihi na cha akriya. Okay, so many words are there. The way it's written here, the na and the cha also are together. I think that's not correct. I have to make a note. In this book. What about this book? Here it's written properly. Gita Press book is written properly. Niragnirna can appear together. Chakriya can appear together, but those two cannot be added, cannot be written together. So, na niragnihi na cha akriya. That is what it is. So, Krishna uses a very beautiful word here called niragnihi. Agnihi. Agnihi. Agnihi means a person who does Agni Karya. That person is called Agnihi. Okay? And Agnihi vidyate yasya iti Agnihi. So that means a married person. Typically, only a married person has the right to do Agni Karya, Homa, etc. And so, now because a sannyasi, ashrama sannyasi has given up all the karmas, Agni Karyam is all given up, all puja, etc., all given up. And so that person is called Niragnihi. Niragnihi. Okay. And Agnihi na vidyate yasya. Na vidyate means that person, there is no more Agni Karya for that person. That person is called Niragnihi. Only referring to a sannyasi. Even a brahmachari, Samidhanam and all they do. And so a little bit of Agni Karyam can be there. But for sannyasi, no chance. No chance. And so Niragni means immediately sannyasi should come in our mind. So an ashrama sannyasi. Niragni means what? Ashrama sannyasi. And cha akriya. Okay. Akriya means all duties are given up. Akriya, one who does not have any duties. Vedic society means duty from morning to night. We have duties, constant duties, and father, mother, son, daughter, brother, sister, duty. Raksha Bandhan, oh, let's celebrate. Hey, they're also duty. Brother's duty towards sister is there highlighted. Sister is subtly telling, come, I'll tie you Rakhi. Don't forget me, okay? That is what he is saying. You're my sister. I'm very happy and proud to have a sister like you, we say. Then bonds are strengthened. So duty, constantly duty. We live in a life full of duties. And so, therefore, that person who has no duties whatsoever is called Akriya. That person is called Akriya. So what is Krishna saying here? He says, the person who has given up dependence on karma phalam, leading an active life, that person is a yogi and or a sannyasi, but not not just the person who has taken an ashrama sannyasa and given up all duties. Correct? That means what? That means he is emphasizing the antara sannyasa. Hey, what did you, who are you? He's asking. Don't worry, don't tell me about your dress and all that. I'm not interested. What happened here? Are you karyam karoti va bhavan anashritaha karma phalam? That is what is there. And earlier also in the fourth chapter, he said, what did he say? Dukkhamaptum ayogataha, right? Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptum ayogataha. That comes to my mind. So without yoga, if you take sannyasa, without karma yoga, if you take sannyasa, dukkham aptum. So it is a recipe for sorrow, hey Arjuna. So that was said earlier. So that shows the importance of karma yoga, importance of our ashrama. Hey, be where you are and first assess yourself and just reset your life. That is so important. And as opposed to saying, I must go here, I must go to that place and meditate, I must go to this ashram and that ashram. Yeah, ashrams are all important. We have to go and get get that, get used to that environment, no doubt, very important. But still, finally, where you are is the best place to be. And so here, that is the meaning. And why? Because somebody takes sannyasa. Somebody takes to sannyasa. So free will is used. Somebody uses a choice and says, yes, I want to take sannyasa. Swamiji is giving me sannyasa, diksha, and I want to take it, etc. Somebody gives sannyasa is one thing, but with free will, somebody goes and takes sannyasa. Then choice is involved. And then the question will come. Why are you taking sannyasa? Why are you taking sannyasa? So some answer they have to give. Sometimes the answers may not be, they may not share the truth. And so we can give any number of reasons people take sannyasa, we don't know. And somebody took sannyasa because they had a very bad life. So somebody ran away, partner ran away. So traumatic. And so sannyasa is there. Our culture is great, We don't go to psychiatrists and all that. We will take sannyasa immediately. That's it, over. So all the psychiatry, medicine, all this we don't need. The ashram, one person, somebody is there, some Swamiji is there, and that Swamiji also is looking for a guinea pig. And so, oh, Bhakta, aap aage yahan par, okay, come, what do you want? Sannyasa. You want to take sannyasa? Yes, there is nothing in life like sannyasa. Sannyasa is the goal of human life. All experiences are up and down, and especially traumatic experiences are too many, and sannyasa is the place to be. Arey beta, you are really talking very wise words. Please come, I'll give you sannyasa. And so both of them together. So like this, they form a group. And so, because free will can be involved in sannyasa, therefore Krishna is using the word niragnihi. And that sannyasi I mean, free will can be used. Vidvat sannyasa is there. And so sannyasa is the right ashrama for many people. And it's a saving grace in our culture. And but taking sannyasa without really maturing is does not do anybody any good. And that's what Krishna is saying. Na niragnihi na cha kriyaha. So let's look at the translation of this sloka. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Sri Bhagavan said, Krishna said, the one who performs action that is to be done, the one who performs action that is to be done, not driven by ends in view, not driven by ends in view, comma, that person is a sannyasi and a yogi as well. That person is a sannyasi and a yogi as well, comma, and not just, that's the key there, and not just the sannyasi who has renounced all fire rituals, and not just the sannyasi who has renounced all fire rituals and who does not perform any other action, means does not perform any duties, and who does not perform any duties. The one who performs action that is to be done, comma, not driven by ends in view, comma, that person is a sannyasi and a yogi as well, comma, and not just the sannyasi who has renounced all fire rituals and who does not perform any duties. Okay. So I think Sanskrit, Anmaya and all fairly straightforward. Yaha karyam karma karoti, yaha anashritaha karma phalam. और यह कर्म फलम अनाश्रितः कार्यम कर्म करोति सह सन्यासी च योगी च भवति न निरग्निः न च अक्रियः. That's Anmaya, fairly straightforward. Okay. Who hasn't chanted in a while? Yeah, Satish and Sudha. Second shloka. Yam sanyasamiti prahuhu
यं संन्यासमिति प्राहुः
yogam tam vidhi pandava
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
nahya sanyasta sankalpaha
नस्य सङ्कल्पसन्न्यस्यः
nahya sanyasta sankalpaha
न ह्यस तस्य सङ्कल्पः
yogi bhavati kaschana
योगी भवति कश्चन
yam sanyasamiti prahuhu
यं संन्यासमिति प्राहुः
yogam tam vidhi pandava
योगं तं विद्धि पाण्डव
nahi asanyasta sankalpaha.
न हि असन्न्यस्य सङ्कल्पः
Not asanyasya, asanyasta.
न हि असन्न्यस्त सङ्कल्पः
Correct. Nahya sanyasta sankalpaha
न ह्यसन्न्यस्त सङ्कल्पः
yogi bhavati kaschana.
योगी भवति कश्चन.
So continuing that train of thought on karma yoga. Again here he says yam sannyasam iti prahuhu yogam tam vidhi pandava. The wise people who refer to sannyasa refer to somebody who's a sannyasi or refer to sannyasa, that antara sannyasa, yam sannyasam, those who say that and understand vidhi tam, that sannyasa, understand that to be yoga. That is what he's saying. Again, he's giving importance to yoga. Hey Pandava, when they say renunciation, they are really referring to yoga because it is internal renunciation. It is dependence, independence. Dependence, independence is here in the mind. Psychological dependence, independence, not to be confused with I depend on oxygen for my survival, I depend on food for my survival. So body survival, you depend on certain things. So, but here psychological dependence, the idea that I am dependent, I, Atma, is dependent on so many things. That idea here, that sannyasam. So he's saying that wise people refer to this giving up of dependence on karma phalam, anashkitaha karma phalam. That is called sannyasa, but that is yoga itself. As a karma yogi itself, you are practicing it. That is what he's saying here. And so no longer desires for kamya karma is gone. Kamya karma is gone. What is kamya karma? I want certain things, this and that is there, and small things. Even punyam, desire for punyam goes away. Desire for punyam goes away because we know punyam is only a perpetuation of this same samsara, and therefore punyam goes away. One who does not want punyam is a sannyasi and is also a karma yogi. Think about that. Even though we do acts, we do a lot of benevolent acts, and which will give us punyam. But we are not doing the benevolent acts to gain punyam. We are doing it because what? For antakarana shuddhi, right? For antakarana shuddhi. That is why we give. And so this word here, very interesting word. Asanyasta sankalpaha. That is the word there. Na hi asanyasta sankalpaha. Okay. The sankalpa. Sankalpa means the decision to get something, to do something, to gain something. That is called sankalpa. And so this karma is there, a desire is there for so many things, and I want that thing. I want to achieve that. That is called sankalpa. And sannyasta sankalpa. A sannyasi is referred to in this manner. A sannyasi is one who has given up all sankalpas. Therefore, a sannyasi will never say Mamopata Samasta Duvitakshayadvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartam. Sannyasi will not say that. He or she may teach people to do puja, etc., and may say repeat after me. But it is not sannyasi sankalpa at all. Asanyasta. So sannyasta sankalpaha, one who has given up all those sankalpas, is a sannyasta sankalpaha. That person is called so. And here, asanyasta sankalpaha. Asanyasta. Krishna is giving the reason why he is referring to sannyasi and yogi in identical terms. He is giving the reason. He is saying a person who has not given up sankalpas means person who is dependent on specific desires to be fulfilled. Person who is a karma phalam ashritaha, not anashritaha. A person who is a karma phala ashritaha, that person yogi bhavati kaschana, na kaschana yogi bhavati. That person cannot be a karma yogi. That person cannot be a karma yogi. Karma yogi, we are all karma yogis. And so slowly our focus is going to be antakarana shuddhi and less on things to accumulate. And therefore he's saying, because even a karma yogi has to gives up these specific desires, dependence on desires to be fulfilled. Kamya karma is gone, only nitya naimittika karma is there. And so therefore that person, indeed the person who has not given up some sankalpas, cannot be a yogi. And therefore Krishna is saying, I am equating a yogi to a sannyasi. Okay, so important this karma yoga is. Only difference between karma yoga and sannyasa is what? According to Krishna, jnanam. Crystal clear jnanam is there. That's the only difference. Otherwise, the attitudes are all identical. Correct? So, and so, So this is a praise of karma yoga, and emphasizing that karma yoga is important for dhyanam, for pursuing the next discipline of dhyanam. Karma yoga is important, and this sannyasa, Swamiji says, this sannyasa can also refer to vidvat sannyasa. Vidvat sannyasa, person who is taken to ashrama sannyasa for the purpose of studying the shastram, that person is also referred to as sannyasa. Here, yam sannyasam iti, that sannyasa refers to a vidvat sannyasi. And so that is a background here. A praise for karma yoga is continues in verse number 2 also. So let's look at this shloka. What they say as renunciation, they is, you can put in brackets, because the word they is not there here. It is implied. Prahuhu. So what they say as renunciation, comma, know that to be karma yoga. Know that to be karma yoga. Comma, Pandava or Arjuna. What they say as renunciation, know that to be karma yoga. Pandava. Because anyone who has not given up desires for limited results, anyone who has not given up desires within brackets, limited results, does not become a karma yogi. Because anyone who has not given up desires within brackets for limited results does not become a karma yogi. Limited result. So even Swarga is a limited result. Why Swarga is a limited result? Because it's a result in time. It is time dependent, therefore limited. Limited by time, limited by space also, no doubt, because this is not heaven. I want to go to heaven because I have concluded this place is not heaven. Therefore, I am to go somewhere else. And so that is the message here. What they say as renunciation, comma, know that to be karma yoga, Pandava, because anyone who has not given up desires for limited results does not become a karma yogi. So Anvaya will be yam sannyasam iti prahuhu. You can say yam sannyasam iti buddhaha or jnaninaha prahuhu. So wise people say, within brackets, wise people, tam yogam iti vidhi pandava. Tam yogam iti vidhi pandava. Hi asanyasta sankalpaha kaschana yogi na bhavati. Yogi na bhavati kaschana. The na can be taken towards bhavati. He means because. Okay. Om swasti prajabhyah paripalayantam nyayena margena mahim mahishaha go brahmanebhyah shubhamastu nityam loka samasta sukhino bhavantu kale varshatu parjanyah prithvi sasyashalini desho yam kshobarahitah brahmana santu nirbhayah Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah sarve santu niramayaah sarve bhadrani pashyantu ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet asato ma sadgamaya tamaso ma jyotirgamaya mrityorma amritangamaya ओम पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः। हरि ओम।